It's Wine Wednesday somewhere. And some tomorrow or yesterday. I'm I almost went live on the other channel, but I was talking to my mom and things went a little bit longer and I'm already several glasses deep. This is the end of the bottle. I had to so I tried to use the new electric, the recent electric wine bottle opener. I figured out that I was kind of doing it wrong. Like it's supposed to pull the cork up and out of the bottle, but I was like pushing it down into the bottle, so there was no way for like the cork to release. Then I kind of figured it out. I had to use the manual. Long story short, the cork wouldn't go back in the bottle. I used the cork that came with the bottle opener, which made it too big to fit on the shelf in the refrigerator. So I was like, now I have to drink the whole bottle. So this is the end of it. I'm gonna do another Liffruma Madlib. I'm gonna do a self-read today. And I do these live because for one, it keeps me honest, but for two, you also get to see who you subscribe to, right? At least in a way. So it's kind of similar to the last one that I did. Also, I guess I am in this point where it's like where support meets a free fall. In a way. I'm using a little Liffruma for the Madlib, and then I've combined the well-known tarot and animal spirits. Yeah, because I haven't done it in a while. I almost wanted to grab the alchemy, but I did not. So, Tier and Yor at the split. So the Madlib today, I'm in the blank part of my life. I tried to make it slightly different. It kind of looks like blank, but it's more blank. You could call it blank. So I need 4 Liffruma cards. Oh, that one flipped over immediately. I am in the Liffruma. Okay, cool, interesting part of my life. It kind of looks like. We're gonna get. Oh. Okay. Was this? Yep, it's 4. But how do I guess I'll do this. It kind of looks like Atburston, but it's more Athel or Aethel. You could call it, and the card flipped over inside the deck. Those two came out. Gar. Spirit Troth. Interesting. I don't know what I'm doing today, honestly. I'm just here. Oh. Liffruma Elven Light Benefic. Core of frequency vibrations holding form, animating all atoms throughout time and beyond. So that's the part of my life that I'm in right now. Atburston burst out free, even when the serving point is pulled tight and knuckled back. Fastened hearts demand their liberation. That's what it kind of looks like, but it's more able, which is legacy and original birthright. Or will you seek your original birthright? Move past all that falsely defines you and find the full truth of thyself. I'm just reading like wherever my eye lands on the cards. That's what I'm reading. I guess you could call it Yar, Spear Troth. Crossed spears being symbolic of working together in united accord. This existed long before the need to put down all weapons in peace to end all wars. To troth is to bind people together in an unbreakable bond of truth and companionship. Numbers 58, 55, 23, and 33. Patrick, what are you doing? I don't know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shuffle and get a card. Shuffle, get a card. You know what? I'm going to shuffle and I'm going to pull one off the top, middle, and bottom. It'll go top, 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 middle, 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 bottom, 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 and it'll clarify each one. So clarifying Liffruma, the Empress. There she is again. There she is again. Etburston is the cheetah. Avel is 2 cards. Judgment and the elk. Yeah, Gar, the lion. Then we have the hawk under the Empress, under Liffruma. We have the dragon under the cheetah, under Etburston. We have the fish under the elk and judgment, under Avel. We have the bat under the lion, under Gar. And then the bottom of the deck, this row is all animals. We have fire ants under the hawk, under the Empress, under Liffruma. The earthworm under the dragon, under the cheetah, under Atburston. The 7 of wands under the fish, under judgment and the elk, under Avel. And the ace of cups under the bat, under the lion, under Gar. And then the stars at the bottom of the deck, under all that. The star is interesting. It actually came out in the first reading that I did with these cards. I got the Wild Unknown Tarot and Animal Spirits at the same time. I ordered both off of Amazon. I used the Animal Spirits first because I was like, I'm not super familiar with a bunch of animals. Like, I don't have personal ties and connections to a bunch of animals, but the animals were less intimidating than tarot, which I knew nothing about. So I used the animals for a little bit. I used the book kind of much like I do now, I guess. It was a mixture of information provided by the book and intuition. And then eventually I was like super intimidated by tarot, but I was like, if I go to the biggest spread in the book, then the rest should be easier. And that's what I did. And the star came out in a position that was kind of like me. And when it came out, it triggered me and it triggered me in the way of like, I've kind of been the person growing up that a lot of people go to whenever they're facing some kind of like challenge, difficulty, darkness, or hardship. And then it's like they would get their little healing encouragement fix and then they would move on. And for a while, I felt like, oh, like people just use me and then they go on to their real friends. And then the card came out in a way that was like, well, that's who you are. That's what you're supposed to do for people. And I was like, I don't like that because I don't like how it makes me feel. What about my friends? What about when I need someone to talk to? And eventually, sort of after that, I kind of accepted it in a way that's very like, because I don't necessarily, I guess I realize that in the same way that there are people in my life who it's almost like my purpose, duty, or role to just like be a friend when they need a friend, or to be a soundboard when they're going through something that they can't necessarily talk to other people about. I also sort of accepted that, like, I don't need for my circle to be that huge, but also, like, I don't necessarily need any more than that from some people. if that makes sense. Almost like, you know, if I was a counselor or just whatever, like a person that people want to talk to, I clock in, I do the job, and then I go home. Like I go back to my life and they go back to their life at the end of the transaction. And it was like, oh, okay. And it's not to say that I wouldn't want to be like closer friends with some people, but at the end of the day, it's like I don't need for there to be anything more. And I have a support system that I can go to when I need. You know what I mean? So cool. This Liffruma part of my life, defined by the Empress, the Hawk, and Fire Ant. I was looking at my stuff. I think I said I was 4 earth and 3 water. I'm 4 water and 3 earth. 2 air, 1 fire. And then I was going to look at the blocks. Hold up. This isn't super entirely relevant. So my 4 water, I'll do 4 water. I was like, what's the glyph for water? The 4 water is the Sun, Mercury. Oh, that's a weird Mercury. Sun, Mercury, Pluto, and Mars. The 3 Earth is my Moon, my Uranus, and my Neptune. I think Neptune is this one, and Uranus is something like this, maybe. I don't remember. I don't remember the glyph for Uranus. My 2 air is Venus and Jupiter. And then my 1 fire is, oh no, not Venus and Jupiter. It's Jupiter and Saturn. Because my 1 fire is Venus. Saturn. What's Saturn? I'm like trying to remember the glyphs as I do this. Venus is down here. Oh my gosh, I almost drew the glyph for Mars. This is terrible. Saturn. I feel like Saturn and Jupiter aren't entirely dissimilar. I can't remember the glyph for Saturn right now. And I have no clues on the table. Oh, Saturn is like that. That's Saturn. I'm pretty sure. So I have this cluster between Sun, Mercury, Pluto, and Mars, a cluster between Moon, Uranus, and Neptune, one between Saturn and Jupiter, and then Venus is all by itself. And if you knew the sort of map of, but there's these invisible ones. So the North Node and Chiron. I'm like, what's the thing for Chiron? And then my South Node is in Gemini. And then my ascendant is Taurus. Which kind of brings this to 4, 3, 3. Anyway, not entirely relevant, but it's a good to know me, I guess. Venus is so yeah. If you knew of Patrick, you'd know that Venus being alone with the only aspects being my North Node and Chiron, it would make sense. Even though I'm like Venus ruled, Venus is my chart ruler, Saturn is my guiding planet. Um, I'm a Pisces. Saturn is an aspect to my Jupiter, which is my traditional ruler. Modern ruler, Neptune, like conjuncting Uranus and in a loose-ish trine, a fairly loose trine with my moon. Anyway, Liffruma, Empress, Hawk, Fire Ants. Outside of the world around me, I was watching, I think Pure Kind mentioned that he's a 5-1 projector, maybe. And I was like, oh, what's my human design? So I'm an emotional 5-1 manifester. I was reading, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Apparently, like, I don't know if it's the 5 line or the 1 line, but it makes me like susceptible to projections. And like, I was reading it. And the part where, like, I think people think I know a lot more than I do. And I don't know if it's like I don't try to portray myself as a know it all. I feel like if I don't know anything about something, I'm pretty good at being like, I don't know. But people, like, I feel like for a long time, people have thought since I was little that I know more than I know. Like, I remember one of my friends used the word animosity. And before he used the word animosity, I had never heard the word animosity. And I was like, like I had context clues, but I was like, animosity, like, what's that? I've never heard that. And he was like, he was like, oh, like, don't play with me. Like, I know you know what that word means. And I'm like, I've literally never heard that word. My number one fan, she'd be like, Patrick, what's this? What's that? I'd be like, I don't know. She'd be like, you're not trying to know. I was like, well, if I don't know, I don't know. It's not a try to whatever. But I guess in all that, like the Empress, the Hawk, and the Fire Ants, I think within my own, well, both in the world at large and in my own life, like the elven light of Liffruma could be like bringing things to the light. And the fire ants could be like these maybe inconsistencies, but these like behaviors, patterns that either tell a truth or that don't necessarily align with the goal or the vision, right? The hawk has this higher sight. It could be like the divine that is like working with me to get to where I want to go and be. And I think with the empress, I have found myself like there are things that I want from Venus, or there are ways that I'd love to engage my Venus um, that require me almost a certain level of openness because that's like who I am. And it's interesting that it looks like at Burston. I mean, I feel like that's not at Burston and Abel aren't necessarily too far off, especially like if there is a difference between like birthright could be read almost as like potential, like at birth we've had the talents, like there are certain talents, gifts, skills, abilities, affinities for certain things, proclivities and everything else that we're born with, and then we go through life and circumstances either add to the pile or they kind of like shuffle things around. Excuse me, but like it's almost like raw potential. Now it's at bursting because again, it's like the hawk fire ants, like the resolution of hawk fire ants reading like or seeming like or looking like at bursting is completely like relevant or it's completely logical. especially because there were certain like fears and circumstances in life that for a long time prevented me from really doing what I wanted or being who I am. It prevented me from, like, it was so mentally and emotionally taxing, and the future was so bleak that there was no incentive to apply myself to much of anything. And in a twisted way, that's whatever, it was a kindness to both myself and others to like not get too involved when I had certain hopes for myself. Um, I'll say when I would contemplate trigger warning, and when I had plans to trigger warning by the age of 25, I was like, why would I? Like, it would be cruel for me to form deep, impactful connections, relationships, and bonds with people when I plan to like not stick around. And I'm not the type of person who would like willingly hurt the people that I care about. I wouldn't even like want to. So anyway, the fact that like at bursting is what it looks like, because it's almost like that's as I am aligning more to, or as I am pursuing more, and as I'm finding out what I am capable of. Um, of course, it looks like breaking free because I lived a life. I was like a captive of fear for most of my life. And then after, it's like as my time being a captive of fear was ending, there was this rehabilitation period where I had to learn what my capabilities are because my circumstances and conditions in life had changed. So looking like like while I'm literally trying to like when I picked up the tarot, the Eight of Swords and the Six of Wands were still at the top of the deck from last time. The Eight of Swords is a cocoon, the Six of Wands is a butterfly, and it almost sounded like something not being where we think it would be. Like we see the cocoon over the swords and the Eight of Swords. This deck is huge, but we're gonna do it. Oh, the High Priestess is behind the star, but the camel behind the High Priestess, and the Three of Swords under there. And then there's the wolf. Let's see. Am I gonna do it? I guess I'm gonna do it. Six of Wands, Eight of Swords. For those of you who are familiar with the Water Known Tarot, then you probably know. You may know. For those of you who are not as familiar, then I will show you. The Magician, Six of Wands, and the Cosmic Egg. Ace of Pentacles behind that Cosmic Egg. Mother of Swords behind that Ace of Pentacles. Now we just need the Eight of Swords. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. I mean, I have been like, especially here lately, I've been feeling like hibernation is over. Like it's time to really put my best foot forward in life. And then there's the turtle and the starfish. I just saw a video of someone. There was a turtle crossing the road. It was someone on someone's story. There was a turtle crossing the road, and it was headed in this direction. And the person picked it up and like put it back. And I've heard that whenever, like, if you're going to help a turtle when it's in the middle of a road so it doesn't get ran over, like put it in the direction that it's moving. Because I guess like who's to say that like the turtle doesn't have a destination in mind? So if you put it back from where it started, it's just gonna try to cross the road again. But this time, who's to say if there's gonna be someone that's gonna like not run it over? You know what I mean? But that's something that I've heard, you know. And then I saw the turtle when I was like, when I had cracked open the deck to start the shuffling, and then it was there again, the turtle and the starfish. I'm pretty sure I actually saw the turtle and the starfish, and now they're right next to each other. Well, I guess these cards were in between them. The Ten of Wands and the Daughter of Swords. So, and then the Magician and the Cosmic Egg. So there is the Eight of Swords and the Six of Wands. So it was a feeling of like something not being like where we last left it, or where we last felt it, or where we last knew for it to be. And it's almost like, we see this chrysalis above these swords and we're worried about the butterfly, but in reality, the butterfly is already like hatched. Or the butterfly has already emerged from the chrysalis, like it's empty. There's no reason, no need to be concerned. It's a husk, it's a shell. Maybe some bird will eat it and it'll provide nutrients or something. I don't know. Somebody said that cicada shells provide, like they serve a role in the grand economy or the grand ecology of things. And I'm extending it to a chrysalis that's already been, I think, is it snakes and caterpillars that when they shed their skin, sometimes they eat it to like soak up or to reabsorb some of the nutrients. I don't think butterflies. I don't know. Maybe they do. um, it was the Ten of Wands and the Owl when it was the Eight of Swords, but it's the Magician and the Cosmic Egg when it's the Six of Wands. The Magician and the Cosmic Egg is such an interesting energy. And again, it feels like that plays into the outburst. And like before, with the Ten of Wands and the Owl, it was almost like trying to make the best of a situation. Like, these are the conditions in my life. These are the things that I'm bound by and limited by. These are the rules of the game in which I'm playing. This is the hand that I'm dealt. Like, these are the rules. This is the hand that I have. How do I like try to win? But now, with what looks like at bursted, it's like no longer limited. And so it's like more so creating with a more unprocessed, a more raw sort of material. I gotta go to the restroom. I'm sorry. Woo, I'm like 3 glasses deep. I do it every time. That's what I need. Okay. So I guess for like more clarity, not clarity, disclosure, transparency. That's the word. For more transparency, I've talked about how yet another role that I was in has terminated. I'm in the severance period now. My lease is up. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful that like at least up until the termination date, it was in my lease month. So I was like, oh, like maybe I'll stay for 3 more months before I like while I'm in this in between period before the next thing starts or happens. Um, and turns out they were like, LOL, nah, like your place is already rented. So end of the month, buddy, you're out. So that's like the free fall part. But like the support, because of circumstances, I'm in I guess a better financial position. My financials will be a little bit higher in this in between point. Um, and so I'm anticipating, I guess, a move now. And it's like, wow. So for me, I'm like, okay, well, this is a sign that like it's just like it's time to go, it's time to move. I was already almost kind of waffling, and I know me. And I could have gotten comfortable. Like I could have stayed, you know? And I guess that's not the plan. And I'm like, okay, well, something is gonna happen, something is gonna come through. Everything is gonna be fine. Ultimately, at the end of the day, again, like I can end up saving a little bit before whatever the next part is. Um, and like this would have been if everything had almost worked out the way that I wanted. Like, I end up renewing my lease or extending my lease to renew my lease. And then it's like this. But I've already been in the mindset of this, like really considering what it is that I want to do. And honestly, a lot of it's not here. I don't need a third time, I guess, in my hometown to be like, okay, buddy. Uh, but I can like, I feel like I've been through enough. Like I've been in a position or a situation where I've had to trust. And I've been in enough where I've chosen to trust, I guess. Where I'm like, it's gonna work out. Like I'm not too stressed about it. Now I gotta pack up my place, but I have 2 weeks. I have a little bit more than 2 weeks. I have until the end of the month. I'm looking at the calendar. I'm like, yeah, I got like 2 weeks. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was like 12. That's like 12 plus 18 is like 30. And so I have some time. I was like, oh, that's like closer to 3 weeks. 18 is closer to 3, but it's only 4 away from 2. So yeah, because that's 4 days over 2 weeks. So, wow. I got 2 weeks to, anyway. And I feel like in a lot of ways, like this is just like, this is where my mind is, or this is where my mind goes. Instead of like something happens in life, maybe I'll get like blindsided or I find out. Like I literally, I've been meaning to talk to him for at least a month now. I didn't. And like, this is where my mind used to go, where it's like, oh my gosh, like this is happening. What do I do? Like, how do I make the best of this like terrible situation? Like, you see how dark it is up here, and then how light it is by the Six of Wands. Like, the sun is in the Magician. Like, not the case. And of course, and again, oh, to burst out. It's from this to this. The butterfly has burst out from the cocoon. This is like an emperor butterfly, too. We found that out last time. Shout out to Animal Crossing. And the Empress is on the table. Maybe this The Empress under the Liffruma part of this, again, like I'm going through a resensitizing right now. I'm reacquainting with my empathic uh, nature to the point where I just don't like shut it off or whatever anymore. Because I think I'm pretty good. I feel like I've always been fairly self aware to the point where I make conscious choices and decisions based upon circumstances in life, even if they're not great. But I know why I'm making them. So more often than not, like I know what I feel, how I feel, and why I feel that way. And so even when I wasn't more, ew, I don't want to be an empath. Like I feel like I've been able to identify my own feelings and emotions. So because I can identify my own, I know when something isn't mine. And so then it just became about like, okay, well, that's not mine. Shut it out. That's not mine. Don't want to feel it. That's not mine. Not my problem. Not my feeling, my baggage, my burden, my emotions. Not my problem. And again, it's like it's this Empress is bringing Venus sort of back into the mix with that resensitizing. At Burston is, oh, look, the cheetah. I didn't even catch that. From the Magician. Oh, there we go. The cheetah, the dragon, and the earthworm. Earthworm to me is like internal work. It's aerating the soil and it's like defecating in it. I guess it's both aerating the soil and adding nutrients to it, um, which is good for um, overall growth. I guess the dragon is interesting just because the last booster pack had so many dragons on it. Um, Let me get a dragon card. I think the star dragons are up here. I think they are right here, and they are. I haven't used the Dragon Oracle in a minute, but I don't think I have it up here. I think the Dragon Oracle is somewhere back there, so we're just gonna get a Star Dragon to clarify this dragon. Okay, I was looking for my glasses earlier, and they were like right here. Oh gosh, we're gonna shuffle whatever comes out or flips over, but I'm gonna complete the shuffle. Healing, restoring hope. Boom. That was fairly quick. Pretty much everything that I've said. Healing was healing, restoring hope in this dragon. Earthworm fell on the table. Bottom of the deck is legacy, persistence, healing, and restoring hope. This is very Patrick. Very persistent. They don't call me Taurus Moon and Rising for nothing. Sometimes it's persistence. A lot of times it's stubbornness. But sometimes it's persistence. Ooh, this is Italian. I ain't even going. No, this might actually be. No, yeah, that's Italian. If it was Spanish, I would have attempted it, but it ain't. Excuse me, healing, restoring hope. The constellation is Pegasus. The star is Epsilon Pegasi. Wisdom of the Herald. Hope springs eternal and is waiting for you to take flight. Even in the darkest night, the star shines forth. Wabam, the star. shines forth to lead the way. Hope does not expect anything, but rather looks forward and visualizes a day when the light will return once more. Hold on to that vision and press on forward. Actively restore your optimistic mindset. Help is on the way. Wisdom of the dragon, healing will come in its time, even when things seem the bleakest. And when you allow yourself time to heal, you will be refreshed and restored into new life and vitality. Tend to your wounds, learn your lessons, and actively take steps to heal and rebuild as you press on to newfound restoration. Restore, refresh, rejuvenate. Period. It's literally everything I was already saying about this. And I think that's what this time since 2021 has been. But again, like, because I'm so slow, so stubborn, and because my life has been what it's been for literally the majority of my life, like, I didn't know any other way of like living. My condition was my condition. My capabilities were my capabilities, and there were things that I was like that I'm capable of now that I literally was not capable of before. And not only was I not capable of the same things, like physically, like literally being able to see. Not only was I not capable of it before, but my mindset was also different. I had a more defeatist like mindset and attitude. Um, and now it's like, well, like I can at least try. And if I don't like it, then I don't have to stay there. Like I can quit or I can whatever, but I can at least try. So yeah, the dragon being the dragon of healing is on point. An earthworm, again, earthworm being this almost subterranean sort of energy. It's the foundations and it's everything below the foundations. Foundation can be Capricornian energy, and that's where Uranus and Neptune lie for me. Uranus conjunct Neptune in Capricorn. Also Pluto. My Pluto is in Scorpio. I guess conjunct or sextiling my Uranus and Neptune. But like Pluto's a generational planet. I mean, I guess that's our Uranus and Neptune. But anyway. But yeah, it's about like it's been about doing all that. And there's something about all these colors down here within the earthworm that is like, I'm gonna pull the bottom three. High Priestess, the Camel, the High Priestess, and the Star. Because I want like, oh, that was immediate. Is this the freaking dolphin? No, it's the gazelle. I love the gazelle. Oops, who is this? The gazelle, the Father of Swords, and this mystery card. Oh, it's the moon. The mystery card is the moon. The gazelle, the Father of Swords, and the moon. Like Earth, it was almost given a little bit of like inner child energy, but I personally don't view my inner child as a child. Three of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Again, we saw the Three of Pentacles upright with the Five of Swords in reverse for Patrick yesterday. Three of Pentacles, Daughter of Pentacles, and the deer. Look, two deer. Oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear. The gazelle and the deer. Shout out to the rare gazelle, even though this is about me. It's no secret, okay? Yeah, I don't really view my inner child. I feel like how I view my inner child is not like I don't view my inner child as like a literal child. So like if I were to engage, I almost view my inner child as more of this like evil energy. almost like my inner child to me is almost more of like the person that I was and the things that I aspired to when I was a child, more so than like being a child and like doing things that children love to do. Like my inner child, but when I was a child, I didn't super necessarily enjoy like going to the park and stuff. I'm like I'd rather, I guess, like read a book and stay inside. Like I was the type of kid that like loved to learn and stuff. You know what I mean? Like my number one fan went back and got a degree, or she like continued her education after I was born. So like we learned, or like I would read her. I was a hooked on phonics kid, so I knew how to read before I went to kindergarten. And I read through the library pretty much by like second, third grade. Like our school library got a public library card. Like my mom had an algebra book from when she was in college, and like I I didn't teach myself algebra because the book taught me. But like that's the kind of stuff that I like to do as a kid. So I'm not on the playground on the swing set eating ice cream. Again, like no tea, no shade. Like, but like that's why for me, when I look at my inner child, it was like the things that I was kind of sort of like into. I remember um me and one of my friends at the time, I've talked about them before. This was the friend that like in fifth grade I discovered dial up or broadband, and that misattribution in my mind between me being on the internet all the time, tying up the phone line and like not hearing from my friend for the whole summer. I thought he hated me, and I was just on the internet all the time, and I didn't. I mean, I guess I was a bad friend because I didn't call. I was like, and it was new at the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, RuneScape, World of Warcraft. I mean, World of Warcraft was like more high school, well, into middle school, into high school, anyway. Um, Focus. So yeah, I pulled these three for like, well, because something about the earthworm, something about where the earthworm is aerating and all of these colors. I had a dream. Something about this gave me like inner child energy. And I was like, well, let me like pull some cards for my inner child. And it was the gazelle, the father of swords, and the moon. Like my inner child is a father of swords. Like accurate. I'm sorry I'm boring, but I love me. And I love being me most of the time. This is like completely random. I guess you don't have to leave a comment, but I'm like, am I the only? I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person. So I guess I'd frame it as a question. Do you ever like look in a mirror or watch a video of yourself or something and you're like, is that me? And then you're like, yeah, that's me because I've like this is who I've been all my life. It's not like it's like, wow, like that's really me. Does that ever happen to people? Where you just like where you see yourself and you're like, is that me? Like, wow. Or where you just like don't feel like you sometimes. Anyway. So at bursting is what it looks like. Let me get my little note. At bursting is what it looks like, but it's more evil. So and again, like I feel like I guess yeah, going back to the inner child, like one thing about me when I was a child is I was a lot more extroverted. I was like, if there was anybody new in class, I would be the first person to go and like talk to them because I wouldn't want anyone to feel like they didn't have any friends or something. So I would break the ice. And like I've had a few friends, like when I say a few, I literally mean a few because it didn't happen all the time where there was like a new student in class. But I remember one guy, like we were friends until he made friends. And then I was just like, I mean, I guess I had other friends, but still, I was like, wow, okay. But again, it kind of like goes back to that star. Little did I know, like, it wasn't for me to just like whatever. I was just like, wow, like I remember when we were friends. Anyway, Abel, it's elk and judgment, fish, and the seven of wands. I'm a weirdo, and it's not bad. It's just I'm just like different. I think too. It's almost like coming off of the hawk and fire ants. And it's almost this because my inner child, and again, it came out as the King of Swords, the gazelle, the King of Swords, and the moon. It's very like, well, if this, and that, then this other thing. Like I taught myself a lot of things growing up. I taught myself how to like configure a home network because Nintendo released Mario Kart on the 3DS and you could play online on Wi-Fi. So I was like, we got to buy a router so I could play Mario Kart on the Wi-Fi. Now there was a time where we went to McDonald's because they had free Wi-Fi and it was tragic. But I saved up my little like summer job money or whatever and I bought a router and like nobody else knew how to hook it up. So the internet, like the manual. And then after that, and maybe this plays into my 5-4, excuse me. But like I also a little bit later, I got a laptop for my birthday one year. And we had a computer in the computer room. And it may have been a little bit after that, but I was like, well, how do I like print without being like hooked up to the computer? So I Googled it and I learned how to like create or to connect a printer to the network so I could print from wherever. And then I met, like, there was a lady I went to church with, maybe two of them. And they were like, yeah, I got a printer for whatever, but like it's in a different room than my whatever. And my mom was like, oh, well, Patrick just, whatever. So I got bit by that dog. It was like a little Chihuahua type dog. And I like picked it up, even though it was like super nervous and it just like nipped me a little bit. It may have it may have drawn like a single drop of blood. I was like, wow, he just bit me. His name may have been like Presley. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like that's also part of like there are a lot of things that I'll learn on my own. And maybe this is very similar to like how I go through the Mercury retrograde cycles, especially when Mercury was retrograding on water. And again, it's almost like this hawk and the fire ants. I'm just like generally a mix of skeptical and inquisitive, where I'm like, okay, this is happening, that's happening. I was just telling Reem, um, it's like, for example, I've noticed that whenever one person that I know is going somewhere or talking about going somewhere, there are multiple people who go there. Like multiple people. Um, I don't even remember where it is, but somebody that I know just went to where she went to. One of my other friends was talking about going to Disney, and then one of my old coworkers is at Disney. There's someone like even when people travel like overseas, it was like all of a sudden everybody was going to like Italy or something. And I was like, but like I kind of catch that. Where am I going with this? I don't remember. This is just like a me. Get to know Patrick through the cards, where I am in life. What's this chapter about? I do these every now and then. Again, doing it live keeps me honest, and you get to see me. Oh, because I was talking about that Father of Swords. But I think even in learning, my brain, like I learn in metaphors. My brain operates in metaphors. And because my brain operates in metaphors, it's able to form connections between things that are maybe seemingly not so connected. But because of those connections, it allows me to shortcut learning a little bit. Because I feel like there's a lot of semi-intuitiveness to a lot of things. And with those connections and the semi-intuitiveness of things, it makes it easier to be like, oh, like I've never encountered this specifically, but because of this and this and that, and because of the word, like it has to be something like this. Also, I'm just kind of like, I wouldn't necessarily say claircognizant, but I wouldn't not say claircognizant, where it's just like, oh yeah, this is this. How do you know that? I don't know. It's just like it makes sense to me in my brain that this would be this. Like, what else would it be? I feel like I was talking about this over once. I feel like I just got lost a little bit. Um, it's interesting. In the top row, we have, or I guess I have, the Empress, the Cheetah, Elk, Judgment, and the Lion. This is a lot of fire and earth. But it's like the cheetah and the elk are looking at the Empress tree. Judgment happens, and then the lion looks forward. The hawk looks forward. The dragon, you're looking at its eye. The bat is faced forward as well. The fish is kind of moving in the direction of the past. The elk and judgment. I think I was talking about, oh yeah, the ways that I'm like, I think there's a lot of ways that I'm trying, not necessarily trying, but again, that's why like the earthworm was kind of sort of feeling inner childy. That's where I was before I got lost on the tangent, I guess. When I was a child, I was a lot more extroverted and a lot more engaged. And because of life circumstances, happenings, and reasons, hey David, how you doing today? Because of life circumstances, reasons, and happenings, I got a lot more introverted, a lot more solitary and isolationistic. Or I took a more like, again, it was, I got a diagnosis for my eye condition when I was in like seventh, eighth grade, I think. And there were other things happening around the time, like my sexuality, I was starting to like kind of like see. I basically knew, but I was like in the please, oh God, no phase. Also, I wasn't great with goodbyes. And there were just like a lot of things that kind of pushed me towards like, just don't connect to other people. Don't, like, I didn't want to depend on anyone. If anyone were to walk out of my life for any reason, including my own mother, my own family, I wanted to feel like I would be okay. Um, and so a lot of that changed. But now because that's not necessarily who I am, because that's who I chose to become, because of I was a kid and I didn't know any better, and it made the most sense, I guess, at the time. Like, but that's not who I am. In some ways, usually I am getting back to that and trying to get back to that. And I think with the judgment, it's almost like that. I'm not necessarily going to say it's my path forward, but on my path moving forward, there are certain things and opportunities that I would be more open to. Again, through just like natural connection, forming connections with people rather than just like choosing to keep being like, nah. But I do enjoy my alone time. Don't get me wrong. Uh, I think also with judgment, because I'm looking at it. So there's this light that's almost like coming back in a way. I remember in fifth grade, I was very short tempered. You could tell that my Mars was in Cancer and my moon was close to 27 degrees Taurus growing up. Um, or close to 26, 27 degrees Taurus. If you know, you know. There's a fixed star in the neighborhood that's uh but it was like fifth grade when I was initially like just like shut down, like boom. But now with this almost like coming back and with everything coming back online, um it's I want to say like recontextualizing a lot of things. But also, this has been a process. There have been lessons since 2020, 2019. There have been lessons. There have been triumphs and victories and eye openings and all kinds of stuff. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say setbacks and I wouldn't necessarily say defeats, but there's definitely been like learning opportunities, learning moments. But I feel like internally, there's a lot of things that no longer have to be at odds with each other. Or I don't need to, I don't have the need, I don't feel the need to put things at odds with each other. Like I can allow for things to be complex and difficult to grasp or understand without um, needing for some kind of like gross oversimplification to try to make sense of something. I feel like I'm getting a lot better externally and internally at allowing things to be what they are. And I feel like I'm in this point in my life again where I'm starting to like really see things as they are rather than being so like rosy tinted or cynical. Now the fish here, and I think again, like the elk is like this, it's the antlers from the elk that I'm really like noticing. And it's about being able to willingly just like drop them, the antlers, wisdom of the past, wisdom based upon experiences, experience based wisdom up until this point. When again, a lot of the experience based wisdom that I have, especially pre 2020, but even some things since then, a lot of that is based in the me who was Eight of Swords. Very pessimistic and not really interested in doing much to make my life better. I had already given up. Um, what is this fish? I got the deck. Well, this is one of the fish. One of the fishies. Where's the other fishy? I'm a Pisces, Sun and Mercury. Like, where's the other fish? Can I get a clarifier for this fish, please? I'm gonna keep going until you give me a card. So, and the High Priestess is already on the table, so you have to give me the Two of Swords, the tarantula. The tarantula, I had to look at, but now zebra. Okay, yeah, tarantula, zebra. The tarantula is, to me, from what I've Googled, as far as like what's the difference between a tarantula and a spider. A tarantula does, it's almost like a tarantula does things their own way. Um, but it's like the anatomy and physiology of a tarantula is different than those of like spiders. And so, even though they look really similar and they may have some of the same capabilities, they live their lives completely different. It was like the webs of tarantulas aren't as sticky and they like burrow underground or whatever. Like, they're not like a house spider that sits up in the corner and makes a web and whatever insect flies into it, like they get trapped or stuck and that's what they dine on or whatever. It's almost like, maybe it's almost like a tarantula would be too heavy to utilize its web in a lot of the same ways. And so maybe this coming under the Avel, especially under the elk judgment, of like, there's the way that I used to go about living because of what life is, what my life was for so much of my life up until December of 2020 when I got my cataract surgeries. Um, and since then, it's been me learning through force because like I love things that are new. I love innovation. I love change, but also because of my life up for the most of my life, I was like, and also kind of like I don't like roller coasters because if I'm on the roller coaster, I have to wait until the ride is over to get off. I can't be in the middle of riding a roller coaster, be like, I don't want to do this anymore, and then be able to just like get off. Like you have to, once you're strapped in, you have to take the ride, and that's what I don't like. It's like if I don't like something, like I want to be able to go. If there's like a function, depending on what it is, I'm probably not going to want to stay the whole time. Once my little introvert battery is drained, I want to be able to go home. Like, I want what I want, and I think I'm better. Emphasis on think. Because I remember one time we were going to eat dinner. It was me and my buddy, and then he was like, well, let's open it up to like other people on staff that we worked with. And I was like, well, I want to go here to eat. And he was like, oh, well, let's see who wants to go to dinner and then decide. They wanted to go to the place that was closer. I wanted to go to the place that was farther. So I went to the place that was farther, and they went to the place that was closer. I was like, I already told you I don't want to eat that food. All they serve is pizza and French fries. I don't want pizza and French fries because they're closer. I'm gonna go to the place that the menu was a little more diverse, and I went by myself, and I'm fine with going by myself. That's also something that I maybe need to be a little more flexible. I am a team player, but anyway, anyway. This one fish of the two is almost like the fish that I haven't been for a while, or the fish that I haven't been. And tarantula, again, like it's not a house spider. So it has its own ways of utilizing its own anatomy, physiology, whatever, adapting. It has its own ways of navigating through its environment in the world. Um, and it may be different. And again, 7 of Wands, stand out. Maybe different. Zebra, maybe different. So again, like it makes sense that the able of this would look like at Burston. So we could call it Spear Troth, Gar. Lion, Bat, Ace of Cups. My brain, I'm like, well, what does this mean? We could call it Lion, Bat, Ace of Cups. I feel like Lion is this like proud is the word that comes to my mind, but it's a very authentic, but also like steadfast type of energy. Like very much like I know who I am and no one is going to tell me any different type energy. The Ace of Cups, especially in this deck, to me, is the wellspring. I was literally just thinking about the wellspring within the past year. It was after the last time I was live. um, and the wellspring is very close to who we were like meant, who we're created to be. Um, the part and piece of the divine that we embody type energy. So again, like this coming off of Avel, like birthright, original birthright and legacy, not surprising. The like little inner child, inner self energy, not surprising. And maybe that's almost like when I hear inner child, for me, what inner child means to me is almost more of that, like who we were created to be, or who we would be in our full autonomy and authenticity if circumstances in life didn't force us to make the best choice in whatever circumstance or situation we were in, and if there wasn't like judgment from others or a need for someone to like do something, like where we would feel obligated to do something, if there were no obligations or expectations, what we would do and who we would be. That's more so how like that's what inner child rings to me as. Maybe with the bat, like I'm still finding it. I know that there's some stuff that I look, I read, I sit with myself, and I'm just like, there are things that like I don't want to have to do. You know? Oh, I think it's raining. It's like I just want to like live my life and enjoy it, and like I want to live my life and enjoy it, and have the world that I live in be this amazing place. Like I'm a Pisces at heart. I really am. There's a lot of Taurus in there and Saturn. I got what three planets in Saturn ruled signs, two in Capricorn, one in Aquarius. The one in Aquarius being my Saturn. Father of Swords is Aquarius energy. My inner child is an Aquarius. That's like, this isn't right. That's not right. No. But also, like, is that thunder? Oh my gosh. It feels like the bat is discovering. I don't. I feel like when things come up, I'm like, okay, like if something needs to be said or if something needs to be done, it needs to be said or done. I just wish that it didn't have to be. If that makes sense. I'm sure it does. Where it's like, I don't take enjoyment in a lot of it. But my North Node is in Sagittarius. So if something needs to be said, my North Node is like, if you see something, say something. Because otherwise, who's to say that things will necessarily just naturally improve if nobody notices? And I'm like, yeah, but why can't everything just be like perfect? You know what I mean? Why can't everything just be right? I want a clarifier for the bat. Oof, no, I ain't taking all them. Oh, well, there's the snake. I guess I'll take that one. Bottom of the deck is the elephant. There's a lot of fire on the table. A lot of air and fire. So I'm going to read the cards from the top to the bottom. There's the Empress. Well, I'll read the elements. So there's fire, earth, fire, air, ether/spirit, water, fire, air, earth, Seven of Wands, and Ace of Cups. Lots of fire. Like the one I have the least of. Oh, look, here's earth and two more fire cards. The bat, first it was the hyena and the tiger, the white tiger. We already have the high priestess on the table that was under the star. And then the snake came out. And this is the snake. The earthworm, these energies feel very similar. The earthworm is like, it feels like it's actively moving, sifting, sorting, doing its earthworm thing, aerating the soil, doing whatever. But it feels like the snake is like when it's all sort of like complete. There's the flower of life in there. I've never been prouder to be a Pisces. I don't know much about physics, but Terrence Howard is a Pisces. Shaking up the game. I love it. I'm here for it. I am also a Pisces. Shout out to Pisces. Hyena, the tiger, and the snake. This is also Ouroboros. Clarifying the bats. Maybe the Ace of Cups is like this, like openness. And again, it is that wellspring. And again, like Venus is my only fire planet outside of my Chiron and North Node. And me connecting to my inner child, my inner self, is to be more Venusian in a lot of ways. And a lot of the ways that I was on a walk. It might have been that day I was in the cemetery, actually. And I was just thinking about, again, like all the choices that I made to like not get attached to people. But when I was on the walk, it was like, yeah, that was the day I was in the cemetery. I'm pretty sure it was before I went live. Or it could have been after, but I think it was before. it was like that's something that I kind of did out of like kindness because I didn't know, because I didn't want people to be hurt by my passing. And I wasn't too keen on sticking around. I thought it would be cruel. Again, like, know that it's like it's the same thing as me. It's different, but it's similar to like if I sell you something and I know that it's broken and dysfunctional, not to call myself broken or dysfunctional, but dysfunctional was accurate. Broken, not necessarily. Definitely some kind of dysfunction. Um, but it was again, it was like, why would I form those close bonds, ties to have someone like mourn me if I know that, whatever. But it was like done out of kindness in a way, in a weird way. Or that's why I chose what I chose. I chose it because of kindness. And maybe this hyena, because it's giving me the light and dark of the moon, it sees both sides at the same time. This is the bat. The snake, a snake's venom can also be medicinal. There's something, it's almost like the solution lies in the problem. And to be able to see it. Elephant and the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck. With the Ace of Cups here. Of course, it's more fire. But I guess it would be a lot of fire. I mean, on here since 2020, like y'all get to see my North Node Sagittarius. Y'all get to see my Chiron, or not my Chiron. Y'all get to see my Venus in Aries. I don't know if it necessarily reads as Venus when you see it, but you definitely get to see it. Do they square? It's a loose square between my Venus and Aries and Mars and Cancer. It's like 8 degrees. Anyway. And then the Ace of Cups, Wellspring. Maybe this is like the lion here is to bear the weight of this. Cool. Well, I'm going to separate these and get final cards. Guess I'll get a final dragon too. This was another self-read. Lots of animals on the table. Lots of animals. Animales. Muchos animales sobre la mesa. Ahora mismo, right now. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tarot. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 animals. 12 is the hangman. I am a Pisces. 17 is the star. That was at the bottom of the deck when we started. That's also like right here. Boom. And I guess, yeah. Ooh. I mix. You see all this, all that tarot, 3 of Wands, 6 of Swords. I mixed these. I separated it to like 7 or 8 piles. I alternated cards, shuffled them all together, and they just like clump together. They just love being there. If you shuffle it enough, it seems like they'll almost separate again. I've thought about that. Like, what are the odds that, like, let's say you shuffle a deck a certain number of times, you have reversals in the deck. It's theoretically possible that if you have reversals in the deck and you continue to shuffle in a way to produce reversals, that you could get a deck that's all upright or all in reverse at some point. I think about that sometimes, you know. But yeah. That's this part of my life. Hold up. All right, Liffruma. What's the next part of my life? Or what's the next part of my life? Meaning because this feels very transitional. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. The next part of my life is called. Ooh, that little acrobat. Next part of my life is called. Ooh, that's a lot of cards. A scandal? Not scandal. A scandal. Candle, Day Star, Ash, Personal Yggdrasil. Which looks like blank, feels like blank. What does it look like? Which looks like Offerlagoo and Wacken. Looks like Embodiment mirrored and Wake and Originate. Feels like it feels like the title card. Okay. I respect the title card. And then the other title card is at the bottom of the deck. LOL. This next chapter is called Candle, Daystar, Personal Yggdrasil, Ash. Looks like Mirrored, Embody, and Waken, Originate. Feels like, who knows? Feels like nothing you've ever experienced before. Accurate. I mean, I'm not surprised that this is the Liffruma chapter. Honestly, feels pretty accurate. All right, Liffruma. First to go back. Final card from the Liffruma. Something flipped over. Maybe. Yep, here it is. Day Purged. Again, almost like the moon and the hyena. You see dark and light at the same time. Bottom of the deck is Perth, Pear Tree, Cosmic Surge. This is that fragrant thing that opens up in the forest. Which again, accurate. I see it. Where is... Ah, here it is. I was like, where is that? Can you hear the rumble of the thunder? Thunder. Rumble, rumble, rumble of the thunder. Ooh, stirring the Ten of Cups. Okay. I was thinking of my word for this year. I feel like I was thinking of my word for this year before the events of the past 36 hours or so. Look at this card. Y'all see this? There's two of them. The Devil and the Chariot. What an interesting combination. Bottom of the deck is the Two of Pentacles. Because it feels like the devil tries to sow discord or create disharmony. But the Chariot moves forward as this like uniting, harmonizing force. And then the Two of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck, and the Emperor is behind it, and the Lovers. Two of Pentacles, Emperor, Lovers at the bottom of the deck. I'm gonna get another final card. What's that? The Tower, Four of Swords, and the Fool. It's almost like how devil energy twists and distorts truth. So it's like finding the truth. It's like most lies or myths or whatever, like they're based on a kernel of truth. Something in that is true. And maybe the Two of Pentacles Chariot is like good at finding the truth in it. I don't know. All right, final card. One that like actually flips over or comes out, not just rests on my index finger. The Lovers. Cool, love it. Bottom of the deck is the Emperor. Love that. Lovers and the Emperor. We already saw the Emperor. Say less. Lovers and the Emperor. Lovers, a lot of times to me, is choices. So Lovers and the Emperor is making empowered choices and decisions that lead to further empowerment. It's an empowered choice that leads to further empowerment. All right, final animal, animal. El animal ultima or ultimo animal. It's the earthworm with the cobra at the bottom of the deck. A different snake. The cobra is like a teacher or something like that. Cobra's giving me like snake charmer though. This is reading as like subconscious programming. Like what? Oh, look, the gazelle's behind the cobra. Because so the earthworm a lot of times does have that foundational subconscious energy for me, and the snake charmer, it's like there's something that the snake charmer taps into to charm the snake. This is almost an energy of like pacification, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's like being kept comfortable so that the snake doesn't so that the cobra doesn't lash out and bite somebody or whatever. It's like you play the music and the snake is cool. It's chill. Interesting. All right, final dragon from the Star Dragons. Final dragon from the Star Dragons. Ultimo, I don't remember how to say dragon. How do you say the last dragon? I don't know how to say last. I know Ryu, I think is dragon. Vision. This card was at the cut. This dragon was at the cut. Vision. Number 1, contemplating the future. Oh my gosh. Literally. Vision, contemplating the future. Bottom of the deck, destruction, releasing your anger. Oh, okay. Vision and destruction, releasing your anger. So it's almost like there's this anger that needs to be released in order to get a clear, not even necessarily a clear vision of the future. There's an anger that needs to be released in order to be open to receiving visions of different futures. And that's what the last read basically said. So yeah. There is almost like a judgment type energy here too, because of this winged creature up here almost descending. With the dragon of destruction. I'll read vision, contemplating the future. Vision, contemplating the future. Constellation Lupus. Star is Kekuan. Alpha Lupi. Wisdom of the Herald. What is your place in the stars? And what is your future? Sometimes it is difficult to discern, but gazing out into the great unknown is worthwhile nonetheless. Develop your vision and gaze out into your future to harness your knowledge of the path that best serves you. Open your eyes with innocence and wonder. Innocence and wonder, hearkening to the inner child type energy that came up. Gaze forth with eyes that pierce into the veil of the very galaxy, and know that the answer to each question you ask can be found in your mind's eye. Look within. You have a mighty vision and ability to see what comes next. Tap into your intuitive powers. Me, intuitive? No. Honestly, sometimes I prefer not to be. I'm high key like let's just show up and see what happens. I love a good surprise. Yeah. Anyway, if you watch this, I guess hopefully you know a little more about me. Maybe something in some way will resonate for you. Maybe not. Use your intuition and discernment. If you don't take it. If I am not the person that you want to see on your screen, I will not take offense if you unsubscribe. Stop watching. I won't. It's true. The internet is huge. It's big. And there are so many people who are out there doing their thing. And at different points, different times, different moments. Excuse me. Go with what resonates. Anyway, I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey, where you find. And I hope that if you find yourself in a situation, position, circumstance that is good and or favorable, that it is long lasting and not temporary. Because who wants temporary happiness when you can be happy forever? Call me a Pisces. Call me a dreamer.